Try this again. It's 7 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Chiillicothe City Council to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and our streaming audience. Welcome to the May 29, 2024 postponed regular city council meeting. We have several items on the agenda this evening, and we are meeting at 26 South Paint Street, Chiillicothe. First, before we start, I'd like to welcome our newest member, Julie Preston, as a member of council. Ms. Preston is no stranger to council, and her experience will be of value to all of us, and we appreciate her being here. So I just wanted to say welcome. At this point, I would ask the clerk to call the roll for attendance.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Bennett?
Here.
Payne? Nickerson?
Here.
Barnes?
Here.
McKeever?
Here.
Dement?
Here.
Preston? Here. Kroll? Creed?
Here.
Ms. Payne let us know earlier that she would not be in attendance. Is there a motion to excuse her attendance? Motion by Mr. Creed, seconded by Ms. Bennett. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Bennett?
Yes.
Nickerson?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll? Creed?
Yes.
Motion passes. Ms. Payne is excused. Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Prohl? Motion by Mr. Dement, second by Mr. Barnes. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Bennett?
Yes.
Nickerson?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Motion passes. Mr. Prohl is excused. Next, I would ask Ms. Preston to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The minutes from our last regular meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Motion by Ms. Bennett, second by Mr. Creed. Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Nickerson?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Next, we'll move to reports of committees. Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Development has one item on tonight's agenda, and it's item number 2, which is the third reading of an ordinance authorizing the renewal of a 15-year term easement for the city of Chiillicothe to maintain the city's storm drainage facilities located on the property at Adina Mansion and Gardens. And that is the only item I have on the agenda, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Engineering Committee, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Engineering has nothing to report and nothing on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Prohl is not here. Is there anyone for Finance and Technology Committee that has anything to report? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to Human Resources Committee, and Ms. Payne isn't here. So is there anyone from the Human Resources Committee with anything to report? Hearing nothing, we will move on to the Parks and Rec Committee, Ms. Nickerson.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Parks and Rec has one item on the agenda. It's item number 1, third read, an ordinance appropriating $25,000 for payment of invoices relating to elevator and tornado siren repairs. Wait, That's not me. All right, I guess mine was already approved. However, then, I would like to announce a Parks and Rec Committee meeting for assignment number 24037 here in council chambers at 5 o'clock Monday, June 3rd, regarding the CYFFL lease agreement. And that's all Parks and Rec has. Thank you.
Thank you. Safety Service Committee, Mr. Creed.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have 3 items on the agenda. First is the third reading to accept $163.80 from Rumpke for the police department. Second one is a first reading appropriating installation of computer systems for the for the law director's office at the appropriate time. We'll ask to waive the 3-read rule on that. That was an expedited request so they can get their computers fixed within their system. Next is item number 9, and that's accepting the appropriating a donation for $4,800 for the fire department for the Knox boxes for the residential loaner program. And that's all we have to report.
Thank you. Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have one item on the agenda. Item number 8, an ordinance appropriating $40,000 to purchase replacement lift station pumps for Timber Ridge Lift Station and Nina Gardens Lift Stations, declaring an emergency. At the appropriate time, I'll make a motion to waive the 3-read rule. Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Preston is the new City Service Committee chairperson, so I would be surprised if she has anything to report tonight, but I'll give her that opportunity.
I believe Mr. Creed has that report.
Items number 4 and 5 are the ordinances regarding the cycling and refuse fees. And at the appropriate time, we'll make an amendment to that to address the mayor's concern about the word solvent in there and make it a little better clarification on that.
Thank you. Community Affairs Committee, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have on tonight's agenda, number 3, the third reading to clarify our language for emergency or not emergency meetings, but meetings that are canceled due to the holidays, to make that a little clear. We had a meeting this evening. It's about assignment 24-039 about the CHIPS program. Mr. Barnes said that he personally knows people that the program has helped replace furnaces and stuff in other people's home. We have approved that, so we'll get that to the law director's office shortly. We also, I attended the meeting for the veterans, and good appropriate time we'll be talking more about how they're moving forward with their project. And that's it.
Thank you. We'll move to reports of officials. Mayor Feeney let me know that he couldn't be here. They did ask that I make the following announcement. There's an opportunity for residents to participate in the resident focus groups on the zoning rewrite. It's Monday, June 10th. The time is either 3:30 or 4:30 and will depend on how many we have sign up. Those interested should email planning@chillicothe.oh.gov for more details. So if there are any questions about that, you can go ahead and email to find out more information, but we want to make sure residents have an opportunity to participate in that particular program. That's all that the mayor asked me to report, and so we'll now move to the auditor.
The auditor's office does not have anything to report today. We've got our CAFR or our compilation report filed, so that's a good thing, and we'll be moving on to the audit. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, the law director.
Thank you. We don't have a report tonight. We just want to thank you for your support so we can get our computers back up and running again. Thanks.
Thank you. We now move to audience participation. Any person wishing to address the council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, and I'll give you a warning when there is 1 minute remaining.
Thank you. My name is John Thacker, 990 Columbus Street, apartment 307, 4th Ward. But I spent an enjoyable Memorial Day in Frankfurt, which is my happy place too, as perhaps some of you know. But unfortunately, it was also a somber day. My parents and other people in my family are buried there, but we wanted to show respect by going to their graves and, wishing them well on Memorial Day, remembering them, of course. As for the specific thing that I would like to talk about, the Parks and Rec Committee will be discussing item number 24037, which is a lease agreement with the CYFFL, which is the Chiillicothe Youth Flag Football League. There are, of course, currently at Mary Lou Patton Park, which adjoins, about however you look at it, where I live, which is Quinn Court Apartments. We have had people recently who have considered that our parking lot is an extension of their parking lot. I believe they are mistaken. In fact, I'm very certain they're mistaken. However, when someone mentioned that to them, some of the parents were unfortunately very foul language. That's beside the point. There's a lot of good things that are done with the Youth League in Mary Lou Patton Park. It's been a long-term benefit to the city to essentially have them use the park, but they'll also clean it up and do all sorts of things. But that should include teaching your children that you respect private property, and that you certainly don't have to listen to your parents swearing at other people that work there. I just kind of mentioned it. I have contacted them, but unfortunately only through Facebook, so it's sort of like not real, I guess, as to asking them to be more careful about having people park in our parking lot. Most of the people in my apartment complex are 55 and older, and for that reason, they might have some disability issues. They might not, but if you're there on a Saturday morning particularly, which is a busy time over at the park, ordinarily our parking lot's just filled up. And I wish that there was lots of parking in the park itself, and perhaps there is, but they don't want to have to walk very far. I really don't know. But if there's anything that the city can do, and then leading up to the lease agreement that you're planning or that you have proposed with the CYFFL, that they include in that lease agreement some mention of respect for property that's around that. I've learned personally that Borland Crossing, which abuts that, is not part of the city. The part that goes down and you know what? I was shooed away one time, which is understandable because it is not city property. It is also not necessarily a private drive, but nonetheless, they probably have seen so many people that didn't belong down there that they probably thought someone who looks like me didn't belong there either. I have no idea. But nonetheless, if we can just prevent something like that happening with the new agreement, and I'll come to that meeting on Monday and we can talk about it some more. Thank you.
Mr. Thacker, my kids play for the Cider Valley Youth Baseball League down there, so I will reach out to the commissioners or whoever runs that league and have.
I don't know all the people that play at the diamond that's closest to where our parking lot is.
Yes.
But more often than not, it's the softball league.
Oh, okay. Sometimes they have, some.
The 8 and under are pretty rough crowd. Not good. They're really nice people for the most part, and it's like most things. It's just a few bad apples.
Sure.
And you know what? We'd like to get rid of some of those bad apples, or at least move them somewhere else. Thank you.
I completely agree with you, so I will reach out to them about that.
Seeing no one else interested in addressing the council this evening, we will move to old business and responses. Is there any old business from any of the council members to come before council today?
I did reach out to Chris Weichel that requested someone to get a hold of him. His concern is Seney Road. There's a lot of trash and things littering that area, but I'm thinking that's county. Does anyone know if that's county?
The one section before you get to the railroad trestle is city. After that, it's county.
Okay,
So I'm
he
not sure
says
what
it's
area.
quite an eyesore through there. I was going to drive out, and I just hadn't had time yet. But oh no. Well, you turn there, but it goes clear out. Yeah.
Seney is there at Hirsch's. Yeah. So that part of the road before you get to the railroad trestle is in the city. Once you go past the railroad trestle, that is in the county.
Yeah, and
And if that's where he's talking about, then that would be a county issue.
okay. I'll relay that to him because he's off Marietta, so he cuts through further out that way.
Right. Okay.
Any other old business from the council members? If not, I've got a couple of quick things. I'm working on a resolution to bring to council to support unity in our community in the face of the flyers that were distributed, and we had talked about the need to pass some type of resolution. So I'm working on the language to get to the law director. Unfortunately, I'd like to try to get that resolution passed before the Juneteenth national holiday on June 19th, which would mean we'd be hurrying that along, but I'll try to get that completed very soon. And then once again, I don't want to overburden the law director, but we'll try to get it over there quickly and see if there's something we can do within that timing. The second thing is we had raised this issue, Ms. Bennett, regarding a resolution to support the concept of the creation of the Veterans Museum. We were very clear that we weren't at a point where we were willing to enter into any kind of legal agreements or request that, but that we did support concept, and we'll try to come up with some type of language that would give them enough support that they could go do some fundraising. That's one of the things that they had requested. Next, we'll move to petitions and correspondence.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I've not received anything.
Is there any new business to come before the council? The only thing I would mention is that the Chiillicothe VA Medical Center is celebrating a century of service. On Saturday, June 1st, there's a full day of activities capped off with the Veterans Appreciation Night at the Chiillicothe Paints Game. And a lot of people in Chiillicothe and Ross County in the area have done a lot of work to make sure we keep that facility here. And so if you have an opportunity to participate in any of the portions of the celebration, I would just encourage everyone to do that. Next, we'll move to the reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Item number 1 is a third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating $163.80 received from Rupke and declaring an emergency.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance, please.
Item number 2 is the third reading of an ordinance authorizing the renewal of a 15-year term easement for the city of Chiillicothe to maintain the city's storm drainage facilities located on the property at Adena Mansion and Gardens.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 3 is the third reading of an ordinance amending the rules of council for the city of Chiillicothe, Ohio.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 4 is the second reading of an ordinance amending Chiillicothe Codified Ordinance 917.19 with regard to refuse collection fees and requiring the service director, city auditor, and mayor's office to provide council an annual recommendation on rate changes not later than March 31 of each calendar year.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion to amend it as provided to the council clerk.
Is there a second to the motion? Second by Ms. Preston. Would the clerk read the amendment, please?
Yes. Refuse amendment. The service director, city auditor, and mayor's office will provide council an annual recommendation on rate changes not later than March 31st of each calendar year to adjust fees to cover projected personnel, operational, and capital expenditures for the refuse program.
Is there any discussion? Clerk will call the roll relative to the amendment.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The amendment is adopted, and the ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 5 is the second reading of an ordinance amending Chiillicothe Codified Ordinance 917.06 with regard to recycling collection fees and requiring the service director, city auditor, and mayor's office to provide council an annual recommendation on rate changes not later than March 31 of each calendar year.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion that we amend it to the information provided to the council clerk.
Second by Ms. Bennett. The clerk will read the amendment.
Recycling amendment. The service director, city auditor, and mayor's office will provide council an annual recommendation on rate changes not later than March 31st of each calendar year to adjust fees to cover projected personnel, operational, and capital expenditures for the recycling program.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll on the amendment.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The amendment is adopted, and the ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 6 is an ordinance, the second reading of an ordinance appropriating funds in the amount of $40,000 for computer-related expenses for the Chiillicothe Municipal Court.
The ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 7 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $9,300 for the purchase and installation of computer systems for the law director's office.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule for this.
Is there a second? Ms. Preston? Any discussion? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to call the roll on the waiver of the 3 readings.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
3 readings are waived, and I would ask the clerk to call the roll on the ordinance itself.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 8 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $40,000 to the purchase replacement lift station pumps for the Timber Ridge Lift Station and the Nina Gardens Lift Station and declaring an emergency.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule on this.
Is there a second? Ms. Bennett? Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll on waiving the 3 readings.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
3 readings are waived. The clerk will call the roll on the ordinance itself.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 9 is the first reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating a donation in the amount of $4,800 from the Ohio Eagles Charity Fund to the Chiillicothe Fire Department for the purpose of purchasing residential Knox boxes.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 10 is the first reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating grant funds from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance
Excuse me,
will move.
President Shoemaker, I would like to move to waive the 3-read rule on this, simply because we are accepting money.
Is there a second? Mr. Dement, the clerk will call the roll on the waiver of the 3 readings.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
3 readings are waived. The clerk will call the roll on the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. With nothing else to come before the council tonight, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Ms. Bennett, second. Mr. McKeever. Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett, Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.